now. Christopher Jacobs, he's the CEO and founder of political consulting firm Juniper Research Group. Okay, Chris, it's so good to have you on. Thanks for joining us. Okay, you were a longtime Capitol Hill staffer. You worked on the powerful Joint Economic Committee, which covers tax policy. You were a health policy analyst. You filed a whistleblower complaint with the IRS calling for an investigation into President Biden and his accountant over his taxes, over Biden's taxes. Why do you say Biden owes back taxes?
That's exactly right, Liz. Joe Biden deliberately underpaid his salary in 2017 and 2018. He used a loophole that, ironically enough, the Biden administration and the Treasury Department now want to get rid of entirely. And he not only used the loophole, but he abused the loophole. In essence, he declared most of his income from book and speech royalties as corporate profits rather than salary to avoid paying payroll taxes on this. And he did so in a way that is not consistent with, I don't believe, is consistent with the IRS guidelines on reasonable compensation that small business owners have to pay themselves.
So he's routing, I think, for 2017, 2018, more than $13 million through these shell corporations to dodge the 3.8% Medicare tax on income. I think Jim Banks said he owes half a million. So because he's done that, you know, it's ironic because I think you've also pointed out that President Biden claimed that, quote, Obamacare is personal to me. It was a big blanking deal. And now he's trying to avoid Obamacare and Medicare taxes. But you're saying there's an actual violation of the law. Can you explain it?
Correct. So Congressman Banks said essentially Joe Biden should owe $500,000 if he paid all of his $13 million as salary, as wages, as salary wages instead of corporate profits. I took a more conservative approach, saying that he violated the law because he underpaid his salary. Using this loophole at all is certainly hypocritical. The part of, in terms of the legal perspective, is he underpaid his salary.
He underreported what his salary was, right? He basically underreported what his salary. Yeah, I hear you. So, you know, the GOP, they're saying they're going to investigate Biden's taxes if they take back control of Congress. I mean, Biden, you're right, he campaigned on closing tax loopholes. And he's always talking about everyone how to pay their fair share. Watch Nancy Pelosi slam Trump voters here. Watch this.
Then in the 90s, the Republicans used that money, big time money, to win the elections. They weren't supposed to, really, because it's not political money, but it was messaging money. So it was a way to protect the financial assets of the rich, and it still is endless money. Endless money. Now, I don't paint all of those very wealthy people as racist, anti-Semites, and whatever, Trumpian, but that's how they vote.
So she's saying Trump voters are racist and anti-Semitic. This is next level Hillary Clinton deplorable stuff, because they did things like set up foundations, which Democrats have done. So, you know, so this is Nancy Pelosi rhetoric. Now she's going through the jugular, right? Because the Democrats could lose the midterms. But let's get back to what you were saying. The issue is we don't know really whether the Bidens where they got that $13 million in income. Because when you use a shell, there's no transparency. There's no reporting on it. Do we know if it came in from Hunter Biden?
We've had some press reports suggesting that the Bidens received an $8 million book advance. Now, whether or not the book publisher overpaid the Bidens, who knows? Certainly that is an issue. That's an issue Congress should investigate. Congress should also investigate Joe Biden not paying his taxes, and Congress should investigate, Republican Congress next year should investigate why the IRS decided to audit Donald Trump in the years before he became president, but decided not to audit Joe Biden, even though you've had these stories publicly questioning his tactics. Is there political partisanship at the IRS? Is Lois Lerner making the decisions about what politicians to audit? That's something Republicans should look into as well.
Yeah, and we do not want political targeting by the IRS. Let's listen, if we have time, to Joe Biden talk about how he was one of the poorest guys in Congress. Watch this.
I'm so tired of trickle-down economics. I never found that trickled down on top of my head very much. I was listed, had the great pleasure of being listed as the poorest man in Congress for 36 years. I still had making a hell of a lot more money than anybody else because I was getting a senator's salary. No kidding. I didn't think you should make money while you're in office.
Well, by the way, people don't like trickle-down government. Let me back up. If Hunter Biden is paying his loan debt, or paying any debt, this brings back the Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton Whitewater scandal. Because if you are in constructive receipt of income, in other words, your loan is forgiven or is paid off, you have to report that on your tax return as income. So they may have a whole hornet's nest of problems here involving what Hunter Biden is doing, paying for Biden's expenses. Yeah, he had a negative net worth. Well, he also, at one point, or a decade ago, but then he's buying a lot of houses, big houses, and we're hearing reports that Hunter is paying for his expenses. And if it's $13 million, you're saying $8 million book advance. Don't know about the swing in $5 million in that shell company Biden set up. We don't know if it's from Jill Biden's speeches or books or whatever. Your final word.
Sure, there's a lot of corruption between Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. I mean, I think it's ironic that middle-class Joe, when he wasn't paying his fair share and avoiding taxes, what was he doing? He was spending $2.7 million on a beach house in Rehoboth, Delaware, and a 12,000 square foot mansion outside Washington. He doesn't care about, he's putting his mansions over funding your Medicare. He doesn't care about the middle class. What a bunch of malarkey.
Chris Jacobs, come back soon. It's great to have you on.
Thank you.